Today on Next Generation Leaders, we're going to talk to Mike Posko about his role as a leader, as the CEO of Habitat for Humanity. We'll talk about culture, we'll talk about innovation, we'll talk about ways to lead and ways to grow next generation leaders in non-for-profit organizations, and how he, as a leader of Habitat, is charged with putting that mission into action. Hi, Mike. Mike, tell us about Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake. What do you guys do? Who do you serve? Who are your stakeholder groups? What's your community about? And what are you guys trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so we are a $15 million nonprofit. Our mission is to build decent, affordable homes. I tell people often that we do a lot more than just build homes, in that we have, we're a construction company. We're doing $8 million in business a year. We act as a bank because we hold mortgages, we sell mortgages. We're a social services organization, so we train, we give our homeowners home buyer education program, which talks about financial literacy. We also have a tax site center for low-income individuals to come in and have their taxes done. And we have a retail business. We have 6 Restores is the name of the retail business. Those retail stores are majority building materials and home products. And it's majority donated to us. So if you were redoing your kitchen, we would take the old cabinets and the old appliances, and if they're functional, sell them back on the market.
So that's like 8 businesses, it seems like.
We have a lot of things going on.
Yeah. So one of the things we talk about on this show is, how do you lead? How do you lead people? Who's attracted to come to a Habitat for Humanity of Chesapeake? What kind of folks? It seems like it's an organization that really can make a difference, can change the world, so to speak. Who is attracted to you? What kind of leaders are attracted to come to your organization?
Yeah, so a lot of our leaders have either gone through the for-profit world, okay, and they've gotten a place in their career that they kind of want to give back. Mm-hmm. And then we have a lot of young people who've just come right out of college or high school that want to give back. So we also have AmeriCorps. About 15 AmeriCorps that work with us a year. But the difference between the for-profit and the non-profit, and I came from the for-profit, is that my employees are very mission-oriented. They didn't come to get a big salary. They're not getting a lot of benefits. It's purely the mission of trying to get everybody a decent, affordable home.
So you don't have to get anybody excited about that. They come to you with that level of excitement?
That's correct.
Is there a way that you have to sort of build other skills that they may not have come with? How do you work on, rounding out your leadership team or developing your leadership team?
Well, there is an education process for people that have never come from the for-profit world that are in the nonprofit world. Okay. And that's that while we are nonprofit, we still have to have a balance sheet and we have to make the dollars meet. And that's a real struggle sometimes because that's what drives us is getting the funding in. So instead of making money, we're constantly raising money, either government funding, individual funding, corporate funding, foundation funding. And that's a big piece to educate employees on.
So it's not just because they're doing stuff because it's a good thing to do. It may be a great thing to do, but you just might have to make priorities and decisions based on what funds you have?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. So leadership is made up of getting people to want to do things and then encouraging them and inspiring them. What do you do around that to get people to continue to be excited? Probably in non-for-profits or organizations that have a challenging mission. I mean, affordable housing is not a simple thing to do. Can probably get a little disheartening at times, I would think. It might have come in so excited about it, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this is actually real work and hard work. How do you keep people excited and motivated by it?
I try to encourage my leaders to be, think with noble intent. Okay. We've talked about that before, is that don't prejudge your peers in their organization. A lot of times it seems like organizations can build silos and they're only focused on what they're responsible for. Okay. And often that can cause a problem because somebody's trying to meet their goal while they need the cooperation of another department and there's conflict. But if my finance, my CFO puts themselves in the role of my construction manager puts themselves in the role of my fundraiser, I think they then see it as a 50,000 foot level and not at the 25,000 foot level.
Yeah.
And it makes a big difference in breaking down those silos.
So that kind of slides us into the conversation of leadership to culture, and maybe that glue is that noble intent, right? So how do you describe the culture? I mean, not just your leadership team, but the rank and file, when people, whether they're a volunteer that come in from a high school program or part of AmeriCorps, what would folks use to describe the culture of the place?
We're an interfaith organization, so we accept all faiths, but many of the people that come into the organization are faith-driven, and they feel like that's part of what they're supposed to be doing and why they're there.
And that's part of your mission, right? Is to sort of do God's work or turn that into action.
Exactly.
And that's probably so we kind of shift from leading to what the culture is like. How do you keep that fresh from, whether you're doing new things or, new business areas, or that's kind of the innovation piece. How do you make sure that this is an organization that's been around for 30 plus years in this region, right? It's been there forever. Yeah. But no organization can sort of just stand pat. How do you think in terms of innovating a not-for-profit like yours?
Right, so Habitat for Humanity, there's a lot of different affiliates. While each affiliate runs independently, there is a website called My Habitat where habitats across the country are sharing ideas and how to best attack those ideas. So that's one way, is to make sure we're doing best practices, and instead of recreating the wheel, if we find out that this might be the best way to handle mortgages, then we'll go to My Habitat and find out. And sometimes we're the leader in some of that stuff and best practices. Other times we're learning from other affiliates. Internally, what we do is I try to create an atmosphere of an open door policy, especially for me, in that any staff member can come in at any time, ask me why we made a certain decision, suggest making a certain decision on something, suggest an idea. And then once a month we have what are called lunch and learns. So anybody whose birthday is that month, I have lunch with them, and it's an open forum. There's no agenda. They can ask me questions, I ask them questions. It can be dangerous sometimes, because a lot of times you'll get suggestions that you just can't put into practice, so you got to make sure you've got an answer for why you don't do it. But nonetheless, sometimes a lot of great ideas come out of that.
Well, one of the questions I wasn't going to ask you, but I got thinking about your role in an organization like Habitat. It certainly has visibility in the community, right? So some of your role is up and out, and some of your role is down and in, right? So as a leader, how do you, as the CEO of the organization, what's the predominant role for you as you view yourself as a leader? Is the up and out piece, or is it down and in, or is it a balance?
I'd say it's 75% out. I am constantly out in the community, educating either politicians, corporate leaders, foundation leaders. If I'm speaking to politicians, if I'm trying to get bond bill money and I'm at the appropriations committee down in Annapolis, then I'm talking to them about the tax base that we're creating by putting families into vacant homes. Or I'm talking to them about the workforce piece, that the number of houses we build per year keep 400 to 500 employees employed a year because of the subs that we use. If I'm speaking to corporations, in many cases some of those corporations have the families that we're trying to reach out to who are in the 30 to 60% area medium income. And they have a lot of turnover in those organizations. And if they can get their employees stable home environment, they're more likely to have less turnover, and that's $1 for them.
So there's seems like tons of stakeholders. Their fingers just trickle throughout the community,
That's
right?
correct.
How about the plan, the growth, the future? Is it a goal to do more houses, better houses, more restores? What's the sort of the objective down the road as you build sort of a plan for the future?
Yeah, so we've gone through 3 mergers in the last 5 years. And through those mergers, I think the idea was we could build a lot more houses and reach a lot more families. That's not necessarily the case, because we need to also build our infrastructure from a technology standpoint. So we need to be more efficient at the way we're doing our finances. We need to be more efficient at how we're reaching 4,000 volunteers. And then when we're more efficient, then that will equate out into building more houses for us.
So it is a lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot. So, Mike, thanks for coming by and talking about your leadership style, where Habitat for Humanity, the Chesapeake, is going. To have a mission with the Word God, and it seems to be a bit challenging, but it seems like you're the man for it. So, thanks a lot.
Marty.
You bet. An organization like Habitat for Humanity of the Chesapeake takes real leadership at every level, in order to build homes, affordable houses, in order to run a retail operation, in order to hold mortgages. You not only need leadership at the top, you need leadership throughout the organization. Mike has this concept of noble intent, and that's the glue for Habitat between leadership, culture, and innovation. And it's a basic fundamental building block for a very successful, high-profile organization.